So when you hear the word giant, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably something massive, right? Like a mountain or maybe an ocean. But what if a giant could also be an industry, a network, or even an entire global system? Today, we're going to explore the hidden dimensions of scale. Okay, think about this for a second. At first glance, these three things seem like they have absolutely nothing to do with each other. I mean, a frozen river of ice, a movie, and this abstract economic idea. But trust me, they're all connected by one single powerful concept that totally redefines what it means to be big. So let's start piecing this puzzle together.
All right, we're going to start with the kind of scale we all know best, just pure physical size. And to really get a handle on that, we have to go to America's last frontier. We're talking about Alaska.
So here's a number for you. Over 500,000 square miles. On its own, that number is almost meaningless. It's huge, yeah, but how huge? It's really hard to actually picture what that means. So let's try and put it in perspective.
This is where that number starts to feel real. Look, Alaska isn't just a little bit bigger than Texas, it's more than twice its size. And get this, you could take Germany, France, Italy, Switzerland, and Austria, drop them all inside Alaska, and you'd still have room to spare. Now that is the scale of place. And it's not just about the empty space, it's a land of superlatives. I mean, more coastline than the rest of the US states put together, it's got most of the nation's tallest mountains, over 3 million lakes, and yet, for all that enormous space, its population is tiny. Less than 1 million people live there. It's a truly wild place.
Okay, but scale isn't just about square miles or how tall a mountain is. A giant can also be defined by the sheer volume of what it creates. And that brings us to a completely different kind of giant, Nigeria's film industry. It's an absolute titan of creative output, and I think its sheer scale is really going to surprise you. Welcome to Nollywood. You know, we all know Hollywood and Bollywood. They're household names. But Nollywood has quietly become this global powerhouse, and it's defined not by how much money it spends, but by its incredible productivity. Just look at this comparison. So while India's Bollywood does produce the most films, Nollywood's output is just staggering. It makes nearly twice as many films as Hollywood every single year. It's a giant built on volume and speed, not on 9-figure budgets. You see, this high-volume, low-budget model just exploded by tapping into this huge audience at home that was hungry for local stories they could get easily and affordably. And this growth was, well, explosive. It all kicked off back in the 90s with this really clever straight-to-video model. By the 2000s, it was filling up brand new modern cinemas. And by 2013, with films like Half a Yellow Sun, it was competing on the world stage. It became a global force in just a couple of decades. And its scale is economic too. This isn't some niche little industry. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and it employs over 1 million people. I mean, to put that in perspective, in a country of over 200 million people, making movies is the second largest employer, right behind agriculture. That is the power of creative scale. Okay, let's zoom out again. So we've looked at the scale of a place and the scale of creation. Now let's think about the scale of connection. These huge networks that we humans have built to tie the world together. When you're talking about roads, one country is sitting right at the top of the list. With this huge, complex system of interstates and highways and local roads, the United States has built the most extensive network on the entire planet. Just look at that number. Over 4 million miles of road. That is enough to drive to the moon and back more than 8 times. It's really a testament to a century of building and this commitment to connecting a country the size of a continent. But here's where we find a really fascinating paradox. Because the country with the world's biggest road network is also home to its largest state, a state we've already met, and it's almost completely disconnected from that very same network. And this is the ultimate contradiction. Juneau, the state capital of Alaska, is a city you literally cannot drive to, not from the rest of North America. There are no roads. You have to fly in or take a boat. It's just amazing proof that the scale of the natural world can still defy even the largest systems we try to build. So we've gone from physical land to creative output to infrastructure. Our final example of scale is the most abstract, and you could argue the largest of them all, the global economy. I mean, seriously, how could you possibly measure the combined daily work, the innovation, the transactions of every single person on Earth? It seems impossibly complex, right?
But economists do have a single metric they use to try and measure it all. It's called global GDP growth. This one single percentage represents the change in the total value of everything produced and sold by every single nation on the planet in a given year. It's pretty much the ultimate measure of planetary scale activity. So a number like 2.6%, which is the World Bank's forecast for 2026, it might sound pretty small. But remember, the global economy is worth over $100 trillion. So that seemingly small percentage, it represents over $2.5 trillion in new value created in just 1 year. It's a colossal wave of activity on a scale that's just really hard to wrap your head around. So, after this whole journey through land and film and roads and economics, what's the big takeaway from this whole exploration of giants?
Well, we've seen that scale has a lot of different dimensions, right? There's the scale of place, like the raw size of Alaska, the scale of creation, like Nollywood's massive output of movies, the scale of connection in millions of miles of roads, and the scale of a global system, like the world economy. They're all giants, just different kinds of giants.
And really, when you get right down to it, understanding these different dimensions of scale, it helps you see the world a little differently. It makes you look around and ask, what giants are hiding in plain sight today? What's the next big thing in technology, in culture, and society, whose true scale we just can't see yet? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.